So today I'm going to show you slow repetitions. You know, it's pretty easy to do. But I'm going to go through a bit of a workout, do some chest in my garage there, and show you what I do to increase my gains and different fibers and hit my muscle in a different way. Now I don't use slow repetitions all the time because I find that they hit my muscle in a way that is different than, say, a more faster constant motion type of repetition. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means that one I feel differently. So you'll find that some body parts, you'll do a slow repetition, you get really sore and you'll get a real benefit from it. And then other body parts, it almost feels awkward and doesn't feel natural. It doesn't seem to move properly. So if I do bent over rows, I find slow repetitions don't quite feel right. Probably because I can't use a little bit of momentum to get that extra little squeeze at the top. So it's all based on torque curves. So it's all based on, you'll have certain parts of the motion where you'll be really weak and certain parts of the motion where you will be really strong. So when you're really strong throughout the whole motion, no problem for a slow repetition. But if you're really weak in one part, you get a real sticking point. Chances are one part of the motion you won't really hit the muscle that hard, but then the other part, it's almost too much for you to actually accomplish a repetition. So that's why I mix it up all the time. Sometimes I'll do momentum stuff. You'll see me swinging and squeeze. And then other times I'll slow it right down and just really get the negatives with the movements. So a combination of both is best. That's what I found. And some people would argue one way or the other, but I think this also depends on how a person's built and their genetics and how they feel their muscles and muscle fiber sort of percentages depending on their genetics. But ultimately I find combining it up. So there's nothing, there's no reason why you couldn't cater your training to say, hey, I find slow repetitions work the best, so I'm going to stick with that, right? So the emphasis is really on the negative part of the rep. So when you're lowering the weight, that's really where the emphasis is put. So I really do a count of 2 to 4, seconds, I guess, a tempo of 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. Sometimes I'll do it a little slower, sometimes a little faster. The whole point is that you are controlling the weight. The weight is always under control. There's never any momentum involved in the movement. And you can see how it will work different muscle groups. Sometimes you will notice though that when you're training chest, like through bench press, you'll notice that the speed of the repetition does actually dictate which muscles come in primarily. So I find sometimes when I do slower bench presses, I'll find that I feel my front delts a little bit more even than usual. This is kind of normal, and it's a really good technique to use if you have some sort of joint pain. The reason why is because when you lower the weight and then you suddenly stop at the bottom, that's where the most stress is on the joint. So if you're coming down slower, then you'll notice that you can kind of minimize the wear and tear. So those of you with some sort of tendonitis, or maybe you're having a little bit of issues with your joints or something, you might want to try this out because you're using lighter poundages, and at the same time you're just getting the muscle to get a pump, but you're not jerking the weight around all fast and everything. So yeah, here's just another angle. And sometimes I touch my chest, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what I feel like doing that day. Most of the time though, I just keep the tension on the chest, so I stop just above. Great, so here I'm just going to show you with some dumbbell curls. You'll notice in some of the videos I'll do curls slowly, sometimes I'm doing them fast. The chewing gum, bubble gum is optional. You don't have to have the bubble gum in order to be able to do the slow repetitions. Just in case any of you are confused, it is okay to do the dumbbell curls without bubble gum. Okay, I just want to be very specific about that because I know how specific people get on YouTube. So anyway, as you can see, I'm really focusing on the lowering of the weight slowly, right? So I get the weight up. The weight up is a little bit faster, sometimes you can power it up if you want, it's up to you. But then I lower the weight slowly. So it really gives a good burn. You'll notice you'll get probably 1/3 of the repetitions you normally could get with a certain weight. And it is necessary to definitely go lighter. So yeah, this is a great technique for you to include in your training just because sometimes, the joints aren't feeling right, or maybe you just need a change. Maybe you just want to hit some different muscle fibers. And yeah, I encourage you to try this technique out. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.